Hey everyone, with Chapter 1 mostly complete, aside from some cut footage from the finale, which will be released on Patreon and, of course, YouTube at a later date, I want to do a breakdown of part 1 of my series, talking about the behind the scenes details, my thought process, fun facts, things I could have done better, some of my favorite moments, etc. Since this was my first big video, there's plenty to reflect on, and some things turned out great, others not so much. Oh, and if you're wondering about the voice, I won't be covering that here. Check out the channel update for more on that. This is not a watch along. I've already watched and noted the parts I want to discuss, so I'll be skipping straight to them to respect your time.
This marked the beginning of his legendary journey.
Let's begin.
But what is the consequences, the price of victory and defeat? This time, the Dragonborn won't just react. He'll anticipate. He will use his knowledge to unravel Alduin's schemes before they unfold, to shatter Mirak's illusions before...
So, when I first started recording, I was using Lorum's mod list for parts 1 through 4. But when I spawned in Mirak, this is what showed up. It's actually not too far off from my version, but it looked a little bit generic to me. Either way, I needed to create my own preset for him, so I could directly control him as a playable character. The same reason why Serana and Vyther had to be changed. I actually haven't made my own version of Harkon yet, so I'll have to probably create my own, so whatever you saw in part 6 will probably be changed
they take hold, and to extinguish Harkon's ambitions before the Dragonborn paused, the wind whipping at his ragged prison garb.
Yes, I know.
Memories
no
of a
shoes.
life lived, a world saved.
What happened was most likely whatever shoes I had left on him were missing the meshes. Probably some mistake I did when tinkering with all the mods on a very, very large mod list.
Harkon. The Dragonborn envisioned facing Harkon not with a bow, but with the raw power of his Thuum, his voice.
So a lot of people don't know this, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be, but you don't actually need the bow to kill Harkon. If you let him heal 3 times, he will stop going into his little bubble and healing. So the bow isn't technically required to end the fight. Also, from a lore perspective, I highly doubt Harkon's little bubble could block a full-power Dragonborn shout. I mean, considering he was probably meant to be fought before Alduin, just think about how much stronger the Dragonborn became after he defeated Mirak. It's kind of ridiculous that you only get like 5 to 10 Dragon Souls from absorbing Mirak's soul. I mean, come on, you beat the game, give us at least some crazy overpowered new shout or something, right?
A weapon against the darkness. Memory of his final confrontation in Apocrypha surged forth. The clash of shouts, the struggle for dominance, the feeling of his powers intertwining. They had learned from Mirak, grown from his battle with him. They were no longer just the Dragonborn. He was something more, something forged in the fires of that.
This might
clash.
come as a surprise, but this was actually one of my favorite fights. The music, while maybe a turn-off for some, had a certain charm to me. I think it was even called Friendly Dance or something funny like that. For the moveset, I used Shinobi moveset for MCO. I'll go over that in greater detail in a different video. And, oh yeah, one more thing. I know I messed up switching between they and he a bunch. I had originally planned to use they, but I had to change it. I decided to change it to he later on, and I missed a few when going back and correcting myself.
The image of Kynesgrove flashed through his mind. The ancient burial mound where Alduin had first resurrected. Perhaps
I messed up on this part. I should have clarified better that it was the first time the last Dragonborn witnessed Alduin resurrecting his brethren, but yeah, that was my mistake.
a confrontation there, with the element of surprise on his side, would be enough to send the... They needed a weapon, a powerful weapon, and he knew exactly where to find it. Riften, a city known...
So, one of my original plans was Dragonsbane, but I was trying to take time into consideration. Dragonsbane would have had him going the complete opposite direction of Kynesgrove. Also, Dragonsbane would have been great for Alduin, but Children was also a good choice, and it's also a better choice for, well, everything else. Sure, Harkon and the vampires won't be affected much by the frost, but children with still one darn sharp sword, and paralysis did still work on vampires. Also, you wouldn't even need a sword for Harkon, let's be serious. Considering
for
I've
its
already
thieves and
showcased that
shadows.
fire magic
But
is
unlike
his
its wield,
preferred
the Manor's
element,
lock presented
he's also
Dragonborn
used a
face.
bound weapon as well,
It was
so
more than just race he
though
had
that was
employed
more
on his
for
entry.
a cinematic
In a
effect,
typical
because I thought it
playthrough,
looked darn cool
the
to see
journey
those
from
glowing
Helgen to
weapons
Kynesgrove
fighting in the dark.
is a lengthy one. It involves multiple quests, encounters with key characters, and a
This was one of the only times I broke immersion, I guess. It was more to establish the direction the series will be going, and that he couldn't just teleport or hit T and wait 48 hours.
gradual ascent to power. However, reach Kynesgrove hunters of Fort Dawnguard. Fort Dawnguard, a relic of
This was more of a time filler, but it definitely filled its purpose. He did not really need their help, but the gear was nice, and of course, the place to rest his head was also nice considering his lack of funds, and who knows, maybe they'll make a return later on.
Skyrim's ancient past, approached Isran. Isran, poor of the Dragonborn's words and the burden he carried, agreed to the terms, forced the chest plate with additional layers of steel, strengthened the gauntlets for improved grip, and added enchantments to increase resistance against fire and frost, essential for facing and effective against the trial of respite. Day would have been spent battling a dragon at the western watchtower, absorbing his first soul, a moment of triumph and terror. A pang of regret resonated within him. He hoped Irileth and the Whiterun guards had fared well without his aid.
This will be a side story I plan on releasing on Patreon. There's so many things that he would have normally influenced the outcome of, but he did not this time around. So none of this will be vital to the story. It'll be more the difference between witnessing something from the last Dragonborn's perspective and then getting the behind the scenes of what actually happened to maybe get a better idea of how the other characters might be feeling when they do interact.
This was the burden of his foreknowledge, the awareness of the ripples he was creating, and the potential consequences of his actions. It was why he hesitated to involve the Dawnguard in the fight against Alduin. That battle was his responsibility, a destiny he couldn't shirk. But Harkon and Serana, he would free her from that icy prison, not for her aid this time, but in recognition of her past loyalty, her unwavering companionship through trials that now seemed a lifetime ago. He owed her that much, but he would face the Volkihar clan alone.
In hindsight, I could have handled the Serana situation probably a lot better. The Dragonborn, given his vast knowledge absorbed through all the Dragon Souls, would have probably been incredibly wise, wiser than the logic I applied at the time. Realistically, he probably would have known the best course of action. But yeah, I was still learning a lot about the lore back then, and my approach definitely reflected that. There were many other paths I had considered, but I'll go over that on a different, maybe the next videos or something like that. Alright, that's it for part 1. Honestly, it wasn't as bad as I thought. I do wish I made fewer cuts and reused less footage. Oh, and I wish I shortened the Rift and Walk as well, because I feel like some people might have dipped, assuming it'd be 5 minutes of just walking. But this was my first big video, and YouTube really pushed it out to many people to find my audience, which is why it got so many views. I know first videos always get a large amount of impressions since YouTube doesn't push future parts and episodes as much. Plus, when people click on part 2 of a video, they leave and go back to part 1, which hurts the watch duration, and then with bad watch duration, YouTube stops recommending a video. So I need to figure out a way of improving that in future series as well. That is it for this review. I'll cover part 2 and 3 since they're a lot less to talk about in a future video. Thank you for watching, and please leave a like and a comment. Goodbye.